Good afternoon, everyone. As you find your seat, we will move towards the conclusion of our holy day of Yom Kippur. Remind you one last time of exits front and back. And most of all, please silence your cell phones this time. Oh my goodness. At this time, as we begin our closing services, our Mincha service, I'd like to call to the front rows, Alan Bernstein, Naomi Bernstein, Natalie Bernstein, Isaac Bernstein, Jane Drucker, Deanne Blatt, Aviva Simons, Max Weinstein, Diane Salzberg, Iris Schlesinger, Robin Waxner, Emmett Block, Josh Bickle and Steve Schmonis, Sean Fisher. Page 325 in your Machzor. We begin.
Jacob had a dream, a ladder set on the ground with its top reaching the sky, and angels of God were ascending and descending the ladder. Our sages taught, the Holy One said, Jacob, you must climb as well. But Jacob was afraid, and he did not climb up. We want to climb higher, but we're tired, and there's so much to do, and we don't know how to rise. God of becoming, whose name means I will be what I will be, you are the unfinished one, ever unfolding, evolving with your creation. Made in your image, we too are fluid, ever becoming who we will be. Keep us alive to possibilities. Show us a path to grow in mind, heart, and spirit. Help us find the strength to ascend. One of the features of this afternoon service is that we gain that strength to ascend from Torah. And we start the service really with Torah. And so I invite us now to rise as I invite to the Bima to carry our Sifrei Torah, our Torah scrolls, Emmett Block, Sean Fisher, Steve Shmonis, Josh Finkel, Harlan Waxner, and in the front row, it looks like almost all of us are here, but I will say again, make sure Isaac Bernstein, the whole Bernstein family, Jane Drucker, Dan Blatt, Aviva Simons, Max Weinstein, Diane Salzberg, and the Weisberg Sweetman family. If you'll be in the front row, be ready for your cards as well. Page 328. be seated. Our Torahs are safely back. This Torah here is resting, ready to be read. And for those who may not know, this Sefer Torah that we are about to chant from is one of our Holocaust Torah scroll. It is over 200 years old. It is trusted to our congregation, and we are so privileged to be able to chant from it. It is very fragile, and so because it is so fragile and so old, we actually, this particular moment, this service is the one service a year we read from this scroll, and it's set that way in particular because we are chanting from just about the very middle of Torah, from Leviticus chapter 19. And so our first Torah reader, our first Ba'alat Kriyah will be Rabbi Eger this afternoon. And it is my honor to call Dan Blatt as our Ole to offer our blessing to the Torah. Yamod Binyamin ben Moshe v'Deborah.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach.
Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai. Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael v'amarta alehem kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem ish imo v'aviv tirahu v'et shabtotai tishmoru ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elelim velohei masecha lo ta'aseh lachem ani Adonai Elohechem. Take it, Tali.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
In the presence of our Sefer Torah, our thoughts now turn to those in our community and in our lives who are in need of healing. Our Kolomi family is thinking of Adelaide Alvarnas, Roger Bourbon, Richard Bernard, Vivian Bernard, Elaine Blatt, Leslie Bloom, Dan Bonnell, Bella Browning, Claire Cohen, Tammy Eliana Eliza Koya, Dale Cooley, Norma Fetter, Ashley Gallagher, Shirley Glantz, Lori Glickman, Rick Goldstein, Daniel Gruber, Kathy Gutman, Allison Knopp, Maury Cricken, Stan Leibovitz, Annette Levy, Lynn Ehrlich McCauley, Peter Mackler, Larry Mendelson, Fred Michaels, Alan Miller, Adela Palma, Carolyn Reback, Esther Rosenblum, Rob Woodwright, Dane Samuels, Michael Simmental, David Slobodian, Henry Sommerfeld, Terry Taylor, Kathy Weiss, Ruth Williams, and any who'd like to add for this healing prayer at this time. Yishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu, may the one who blessed our ancestors in every generation bless all these loved ones in need of healing. May they know Refuah Shlema, a complete healing, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, healing of the body, healing of the spirit. May all of us be messengers of healing and love in our lives for them, today and always. Together we say, Amen. For the second Aliyah, Isaac Bernstein will be our Baal Kriyah, our Torah reader, and Alan, Naomi, and Natalie Bernstein will be our Olim, Ya'amdu Mishpachat Bernstein.
Right there. He's showing you where out.
Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Uvkutrechem eketzir artechem lo techaleh pe'at tzadcha liksor veleket ketzircha lo telaket vecharmecha lo teolel uferet karmecha lo telaket le'ani velagir tazov otam ani Adonai Elohechem lo tignovu velo techachashu velo tishakru ish ba'amito velo tishavu vishmi la shaker vechilota et shem Elohecha ani Adonai lo ta'asok ebreacha velo tigzol lo talin pe'ulat sachir itcha ad boker lo tegalel cheresh velifnei iver lo titain michshol vayareta me'elohecha ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tavinu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Yasher Koach. Nicely done. For our third Aliyah, it's my pleasure to call Jane Drucker as our Ba'alat Kriyah, our Torah chanter, and to call Aviva Simons as our Olah. Tamod Aviva Chana Bat Harav Ruvain V'Harav Bracha La'aliyah. Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Mipnei se'al tikkun v'harata p'nei zikain v'yareta me'elohecha ani Adonai. Yagoricha ger biaretzem lotonu oto ki ezras mikem yehi elachem hager hagarichem v'ahavta lo kimocha ki gerim hayritem be'eretz Mitzrayim Ani Adonai Elohechem Lo tosu Babel b'mishpat b'midah b'mishkol ub'imsurah me'oznei tzedek avnei tzedek efat tzedek v'hin tzedek yehieh lachem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Ushmartem et kol chukotai v'et kol mishpatai v'yasitem otam ani Adonai
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tofenu Baruch Adonai notim haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. For the lifting and dressing of our Torah, it is my pleasure to call Max Weinstein and Diane Salzberg. Yamon hamagbiya v'hagolelet. We rise together as one community.
Max?
I will be leading our Haftarah this afternoon from the book of Jonah. And the blessings you can find and join with me, if you like, on page 342. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'Torah u'b'Moshe abdo u'v'Yisrael amo u'b'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayehi, page 344. Vayehi devar Adonai el Yonah ben Amittai lemor. And the word of the Eternal One came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, Kum lechem Nineveh, ha'ir hagdola ukra aleha, ki alta ra'atam lefanai. Get up, go to Nineveh, that great city, and speak unto her, for her wickedness has risen up before me. Vayakom Yonah livroach Tarshisha milifnei Adonai. So Jonah got up to flee to Tarshish from before the presence of God. Vayered Yafo, vayimta onia ba Tarshish, vayiten skara, vayered balavo imahem Tarshisha, milifnei Adonai. And he went down to Yafo, where he found a boat was going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare, and he went into the boat to go with them to Tarshish, away from the presence of God. V'Adonai hetzil ruach gdola el hayam, v'yehi sar gadol bayam, v'ha'oniyah chishva v'hishaver. So God threw a great wind onto the sea, and there was a great storm upon the sea, and the boat was about to be destroyed. Vayeru hamalachim vayizaku ish Elohav. So the ship's men were afraid, and they screamed, each one to their God. Vayatilu et hakelim asher ba'oniyah el hayam ve'hakel me'aleihem. Ve'yonah yarad el yarketei asfina vayishkav vayiradam. And they threw the cargo that was on the ship to the sea to lighten the load from them. But Jonah went down into the depths of the boat, and he fell asleep. We're going to continue later on in the chapter, but as you know the story, Jonah falls asleep. The men eventually draw lots. They cast him overboard. He's swallowed by a whale and spit up a few days later. On page 347, we'll hear a little bit more. Vayehi devar Adonai el Yonah shenit lemor. So the word of God came to Jonah a second time, saying, Kum lech el Nineveh ha'ir hagdola, ukra eleha et hakriah, asher anochi dover elecha. Get up and go to Nineveh, the great city, and call unto her what I shall tell you, that I shall speak to you. Vayakom Yonah, vayelech el Nineveh, kidvar Adonai, ve'Nineveh hayta ir gdola le'Elohim, mahalach shloshet yamim. So this time Jonah got up, and he went to Nineveh as God had said. But Nineveh was such a great city of God that it was 3 days' walk across. Vayachel Yonah lavo ba'ir malach yom echad, vayikra vayomar od arba'im yom ben Nineveh nehepachet. And Jonah began to walk through the city the distance of 1 day's walk. And he called and he said, in only 40 days the city of Nineveh will be destroyed. Vayaminu anshe Nineveh ve'Elohim, vayikru tzom ve'yilbeshu sakim migdolam ve'ad ktanam. And they believed, all the people of Nineveh, in God. So they declared a fast, and they wore sackcloth, from the richest one to the poorest. ויגע הדבר אל מלך נינווה, ויקום מכיסו, ויעבר על ארתו מאליו, ויחסק, וישב על האפר. And even when the word of reached to the king of Nineveh, he got up from his throne, and he took off his royal garments from upon him, and he put on his sackcloth, and even the king sat in ashes. So the people of Nineveh are repenting, they're doing their job, and on page 348 we'll see what God does. Verse 10. Vayar Elohim et ma'asehen ki shavu midarkam hara'ah. And so God saw their deeds, that they were doing tshuva, they were returning from their wicked ways. Vayinachem Elohim. And God repented al hara'ah asher diber lasot lahem velo asa, from the wickedness that even God was about to do to them, and God spared them. Vayera Elyona ra'a gdola vayichar lo. But this was not good for Jonah. It was very bad, and he got very angry. Vayipalel el Adonai vayomar. And so he prayed to God, and he said, Ana Adonai halozeh dvari, areoti al mati, al kein kidamti livrach tarshisha. Please, Eternal One, isn't this what I said when I was still on my own land? And that's why I went forward to flee to Tarshish. Ki yadati, ki ata erchanun v'rachum, erech apayim v'rav chesed, v'nicham al hara'ah. Because I knew that you were a merciful and gracious God, long of patience and of loving kindness, that you forgive wicked deeds. Ve'ata Adonai kach na et nafshi mimeni, ki tov moti mechayai. And so now, God, please take my life, because it's better for me to die than live while these wicked ones are not punished. Well, God continues, and God, of course, does not take Jonah's life here, but God teaches Jonah a lesson. A magnificent tree sprouts behind Jonah, and Jonah grows to care for it. It covers him in shade, it protects him. And then God strikes down this bush, and suddenly the bush is gone. And God ends this book of Jonah on page 349. The book ends basically with a rhetorical question. Vayomer Elohim el Yonah, ha'hetev hara lecha al hakikayon. And so said God to Jonah, are you really good and angry about this bush? Vayomer. So Jonah said, Heitev hara li ad mavet. Yes, I'm so angry, I want to die. Vayomer Adonai, ata chasta al hakikayon asher lo amalta bo velo gidalto shebin Neilah haya uvin Neilah avan. And so said the Eternal, You have pity upon this tree that you didn't work to do anything or help grow, that from one night to the next night it was born and perished. Va'ani lo achus, so should I not have mercy al Nineveh ha'ir hagdolah, upon Nineveh, the great city, asher yesh ba arbeh, that there are within her many, more mishtem esrei ribo adam, asher lo yada ben yamino v'smono, uvehema rabba. Many more than 20,000 human beings that they don't know their right from their left, and also many beasts. It's a powerful rhetorical question that Jonah is thrown by God. How should I not have mercy and forgive? It's part of the reason I think that we have this Haftarah as this afternoon reading on Yom Kippur, that we're reminded that God is merciful and that forgiveness is always a possibility. The blessing after the Haftarah is found on 351. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום הכיפורים הזה, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, למחילה ולסליחה ולכפרה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך, ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, יתברך אמת וחיים לעד, ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך מוחל וסולח לעוונותינו, לעוונות עמו בית ישראל, ומעביר אשמתנו בכל שנה ושנה, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל, ויום הכיפורים. Amen. We rise together, and I invite Laura Sweetman, Jane Weisberg, and Sydney Weisberg Sweetman to the Bima as we return our Torah to the Ark. You can probably tell I have a soft spot for Jonah, the prophet. It might have started the day my parents gave me my Hebrew name, Moshe Yonah, or Moses Jonah. The J being for my middle name, which is Jeffrey in English. I'm not sure why Jonah wasn't good enough in English, but we'll have to ask my parents next time you see them. And my love for this story has grown throughout my life, and I think for good reason. It's a fantastical story. Fleeing God's word, tossed to the sea, survives swallowed by a large fish, and still he lives to complain about his success. It's a lot of chutzpah there for Jonah. And I particularly appreciate that we return to this story every year on Yom Kippur, because every year I find new ways to think about it and apply its wisdom to my life. This year I'm thinking about Jonah's role as a prophet specifically, as one who speaks truth to power. In many ways, that's what all our Hebrew prophets did. They spoke God's word and used the call of the divine to call out the political and economic powers in their society for their lack of an ethical or moral compass, for their lack of attention and compassion for the least well-off amongst them. You see, by definition, prophets who speak God's word are truth tellers. They hear God's word and they amplify it into the world. And like Jonah, many of our prophets are reluctant at first. Even Moses, who our Torah calls the greatest prophet in our history, pleads with God at the burning bush. Moses says, "Who am I to go to Pharaoh?" He asks, he even begs, "Send somebody else." Again, it's a lot of chutzpah when the Holy One is talking directly to you. But Jonah takes that reluctance to a whole new level. Not just arguing, but upon hearing God's commandment, he gets up immediately and he goes the opposite direction. He's afraid to speak truth to power, to the people of Nineveh and their king. Even though he suspects he'll be successful because he knows that God is merciful, he's afraid. And I take comfort in knowing that even a prophet who knew he'd be successful, was afraid. Because sometimes I'd like to run too. Sometimes I think it seems easier to flee from the urgent and dire challenges that our society faces. I think it'd be easier to escape into the depths of a ship and fall asleep like Jonah did amidst a raging storm. But this Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, calls us to return, to do the work of turning ourselves into the best we can be. And as Jonah's story ultimately reminds us, that means that we too must find ways to speak truth to power, even when it's terrifying, and even when, unlike Jonah, we don't know if we'll be successful. On Rosh Hashanah, I spoke with you about seeking out truth and defending its existence. That truth is something that really does exist in the world. But that doesn't necessarily tell us how we speak it in the public, how we go out and tell our truth and speak to power in a way that will help change ourselves and change the world. And so I wanted to offer this afternoon a few modern-day prophets, people who I've noticed that have spoken truth to power and who have inspired me by doing so. And in their stories, I think they teach us some key aspects of what it means when we do this important work of raising our voice. On Monday, September 23rd, just a few short weeks ago, the world heard the voice of one such truth teller. Her name is Greta Thunberg. For those who haven't heard Greta's story, she's a 16-year-old climate activist whose protest inspired millions of students around the world to take action in their protest as well. And in September, she made headlines for her bold words attacking the failure of international leaders to take adequate action against climate change. She said the following: "You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight." Those are Greta's words. And they struck a deep chord within me. And I understand that there may be a range of ways to understand her activism and her policy prescriptions, or even the impact that her truth-telling will have. But I believe that Greta has modeled for us, and for the entire world, the type of boldness that we need when we speak truth to power. In the words of Rabbi Jill Hammer, this kind of speech might even be a type of prophecy. Because as Rabbi Hammer writes, Greta speaks with inspiration that comes from somewhere larger than ourselves, that is not intimidated by violence or power or wealth or societal disapproval. We don't yet know how Greta's words and actions will impact policy. We don't yet know if we'll find those solutions in politics needed to fight climate change. But I'm still inspired by her commitment to speaking truth to power and by her boldness with which she's called leaders to account. Another truth teller who inspires me, particularly amidst the recent surge of anti-Semitism we've seen in our country and throughout the world, is Professor Deborah Lipstadt. A history professor, Professor Lipstadt fought Holocaust deniers in the British court system and won. Her story was told in the 2016 film Denial, where she was played by Rachel Weisz, and I think Professor Lipstadt models for us the tenacity and the persistence needed when we speak truth to power. You see, in 2005, she published a book internationally called Denying the Holocaust, the growing assault on truth and memory. And upon publication in the UK, she was promptly sued by a prominent Holocaust denier for libel. And here in the US, Professor Lipstadt might have been able to ignore that lawsuit and go back to her academic writing and live her life happy in her publication and not think twice about it. But the laws in Britain put the onus on the defendant in these kind of cases. So she had to go to court to prove, with ample evidence and keen legal reasoning, that the revisionists and Holocaust deniers were in fact liars. And so Professor Lipstadt reminds me that sometimes speaking truth to power requires teams of people at our side working together, being vigilant over the course of years. You see, she won her case not only because the facts and the history were on her side, but because she had the courage to meticulously defend her convictions and gather teams of people who would help her do that with the utmost attention to detail. Hers is a reminder to us to call out anti-Semitism when we see it, yes, on either side of the political aisle, and for us too to be vigilant so that we will not allow, in her words, anti-Semitism, racism, and prejudice to parade as rational discourse. Now, I'm sure that you have examples in your life of people you've seen speak truth to power, and there are many more contemporary examples we could look to learn about these qualities that we need when we do so. This afternoon, I'll share just one more example. It has been just over 18 months since students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, buried 16 of their friends and a teacher. Their lives were taken in an episode of gun violence, and sadly there have been hundreds of episodes and mass shootings since then. I suspect it would have been easy for those students to put on their Jonah kippot, to try to flee and return to life as normal after this incident and after they process some of their grief. But instead, many of them found ways to turn their mourning into action. David Haag, Emma Gonzalez, and so many other students turned their pain into a protest. They co-founded the March for Our Lives. Some of you here today remember joining me and our Kol Ami community marching in that march just a couple months after the tragedy. But their work continues to this day. The protest they organized, which became the single largest single-day protest against gun violence in U.S. history, then became a tour. And that tour led them to registering hundreds of thousands of voters, meeting with hundreds of mayors in cities across the country, putting together a peace plan, and spurring a more than 47% increase in youth voter turnout in the 2018 midterms over the 2014 election. You see, the students who's founded the March for Our Lives continued this day to do this work to end gun violence, to bring about common sense reform, despite continued risk to themselves, because they become, as you might know, the target of conspiracy theories, as they have spoken their truth to power. And so their actions remind us, once again, of another value that we need to take when we raise our voice. We are stronger together, and we must never give up hope. Speaking truth to power has never been easy. Jonah ran from his destiny before finally speaking to the people of Nineveh. The stories of Greta Thunberg, of Deborah Lipstadt, of David Haag and his co-founders in the March for Our Lives, they're but three examples in our time, whose words and actions offer us reminders for how to speak up without running. Be bold and direct with our words like Greta. Be vigilant, meticulous, and persistent like Deborah. Work together. Dream big like the students in Parkland. Have hope and faith that speaking our truth to power matters more today than it has ever mattered before. As we near the end of this day of communal confession, I pray that we will not be guilty of the sin of silence this year. I pray that each one of us will find ways to live up to our name, Kol Ami, to be a voice for our people, to use our voice boldly, vigilantly, and with hope. We are justified in dreaming for a better world. And we are justified in speaking out to make that happen. May we move forward together this new year, remembering the message of our prophets, our truth tellers, both ancient and contemporary. Keni Hiratzon, so may this be God's will. Gemar Chatima Tova.
we're justified. Every time we resist,
We're justified.
every time we question,
We are justified.
every time we stand up, every time we speak out, we're justified.
So we're speaking truth now. We know, we are justified. We're justified. We're justified. We're justified.
Sing it with us.
We're justified. We're justified. We're justified. We're justified. Sun's gonna rise up
On a brand new day. Little song by Stacy Byer.
I'm familiar with this. Here we go. Shana Tova. I'm still Carrie Davidson. I'm still a past president, and I'm still a member of our board of trustees. On behalf of the board of trustees, on behalf of our clergy, and really on behalf of our whole community, welcome. I hope, and I'm fairly certain that we have enjoyed praying, being a part of these High Holy Day services.
Yeah.
And we wish you a healthy, a happy, and a very sweet new year. So this is a time for thank yous, and we want to thank everyone who has made these High Holy Days so special. And of course, there are people who help us throughout the year as well. But let's single out a few people. There are musicians under the leadership of Nate Widlet. I'll do that right eventually. Let's thank our greeters and our ushers. The members of our ritual pillar, listed in the bulletin, they're not up there. Our temple staff, the folks that you see under Rabbi Dave's direction. You saw Susanna out there. You saw Dave, who is our office assistant. Gloria, Gwen were here. I mean, everyone who welcomes you and makes these days so special. There are a lot of people up there who we should thank, and those categories are listed there. I have more thank yous, just a couple reminders. Sukkot, 4 days after Yom Kippur. Many opportunities to meet in the sukkah. First night, Sukkot barbecue dinner. Women's night, open yard, HIV positive group. Friday night, October 18th, we'll have a special guest speaker. I want to remind you, those of you who were here last night, toiletries for the homeless. You can continue to bring them. Do so. Through Sukkot. Thank you, Rabbi. New grief group. More thank yous. I want to thank the board, who they work really hard throughout the year. And they've been present here. They appreciate that. we're available. Talk to us throughout the year. I want to thank the people who shared their stories with you. I want to thank Rebecca, who's here. I want to thank Leonard. I want to thank Greg. I want to thank Larry. It's hard to get up and do that. And thank you for responding to their requests to support our community. I want to thank Cantor Linsky. It's so wonderful to have you back again. I want to thank Rabbi Chaiken. We heard from Rabbi Chaiken about truth. We heard about modern day prophets. And of course we want to thank Rabbi Eger, who talks about being resilient. She taught us about how to apologize. She taught us about teshuvah. These are things that we want to remember throughout the year. Yeah, very special now, but definitely really important. Most of all, I want to thank everyone here. It's because of you, it's because of us that we have Congregation Kol Umi. This is our community, this is our sacred community. You heard people talk about, some of us view this as our family, very special friends. People who, for some of us who have been around for a long time, this is like our family. And one last opportunity to say thank you. If you have your envelopes, if you are able, and let's just say thank you for being a part of this community. And it helps to make a sustaining donation to the congregation, and we would be most grateful. Time for that. Next Friday night, October 11th, Shabbat services.
2, please.
Start at 8 p.m. Thanks very much for being here. If you've lasted this long on your fasting, you're going to make it. I know that. I always like doing these announcements. I come back to do them because it works for me. I don't think of anything but being here. Okay, maybe that's not so true. But here you go. Shana Tova. Come back and see us during the year, and have a really great year.
We're turning now to page 356 in your Machzor. We have a little bit more to finish our day. At this time, to the front row, Sam Fidish and John DeWitt. If you'll join us close to the front, that would really help us with our service. We rise, turning to page 356 as we begin the afternoon tefillah.
Adonai, חסד, לחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך מביט ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר צורה לחיים רחמים. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Page 368, as Sam and John come forward to open our Page 377, you may be seated. Our teacher Rabbi taught, when we are led in for judgment in the next world, we will be asked these questions. Let's share them together. Did you conduct your business honestly? Did you set a time to study? Did you leave a legacy for future generations? Did you have hope in your heart? Did you get your priorities straight? Did you enjoy this world? And were you the best you could be? The beggar who has been sitting and sleeping on the same bench in the park day after day, surrounded by paper bags stuffed with her belongings, has now become a donor, feeding with crumbs the pigeons and sparrows in a broad circle about her. 385. Feel bad, it won't kill you. Use these feelings as a catalyst to make amends, so long as doing so doesn't inflict more pain. Do something positive that will help offset the damage that you have caused. And after you've done all you can by way of making amends, and have learned all you can from what you did, make a solemn vow not to repeat the act. Assuming you've done all this, let it go. How? The next time the memory arises, don't give yourself over to the drama. Yes, I did that. I won't do it again. There's no point in dwelling on it, and doing so simply feeds my narcissism. Better to do something constructive with my time and my energy. We continue at the top of 387 together. Oneness at the heart of all life, may I let go of the pettiness within myself and transform myself into a conduit of love. Let me be healing and comfort for those who are tired and ill. Let me be nourishment for the hungry. Let me be a shield for those who are helpless and afraid. Let me be a lamp for those who dwell in the dark. May I be a haven for the troubled, a guide for the lost, a voice for those who cannot speak. Let all those I meet come away feeling better for having encountered me. Over the next few pages through 410, choose one or more of the readings of the prayers there as we take a few moments for silent prayer and reflection. At this time, I'd like to call Molly and Rachel and Josh Bobrowski and Daniel Tarika to come to the bima to open our ark, and to the very front row, David Goldman and Michael Sugar, if you would make your way to the front row. We're going to turn in our Moxers now to page 416. We're going to have you open the ark. We rise as the ark is opened. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Please be seated. Page 418. We pray together. El Chaiken lefanecha b'zadon v'ishgadav, El Chaiken lefanecha b'shviyut shva. The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and the harm we have caused in your world through insincere promises. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chlilut, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'kalut rosh. The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and the harm we have caused in your world by making light of a serious matter. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'einayim ramot. The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and the harm we have caused in your world through condescension. 419. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'hirhu halev, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh. The ways we have wronged you through our innermost thoughts, and the harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chechash v'chazav, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'hona'at re'ah. The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, the harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vidui peh. The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, the harm we have caused in your world through hypocrisy. V'al kulam elohas lichot slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement. The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, the harm we have caused in your world through our thoughtlessness. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chichul Hashem, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tumat tzvatayim. The ways we have wronged you by profaning your name in public, and the harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'rechilut, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'zizul morim u'morim. The ways we have wronged you through gossip and rumor, the harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ayin, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masal v'matan. The ways we have wronged you through narrow-mindedness, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'galui arayot, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'machal v'mishteh. The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and the harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tishum edyad, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ritzat ragayim l'chara. The ways we have wronged you by betraying the trust, and the harm we have caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice. V'al kulam elohas lichot, slach lanu, machal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement. What gives us strength to pursue goodness? Together, awareness of the good that is around us Decent, generous acts that remind us of what is possible, here and now in this world of moral ambiguity. So our sages taught, one mitzvah inspires another. Thus we acknowledge and celebrate those who do their best on the job, whatever their level of pay, and those who run an honest business who don't cut corners, falsify, or lie. Those who labor in obscurity to help others or advance the frontiers of truth. Those who add beauty to the world through the arts or through unselfish deeds. Patient teachers who see the potential in shy or difficult students. And students who focus on learning not just good marks and earn their grades fairly without cheating. Athletes who exemplify good sportsmanship and self-discipline. All those who use their wealth to benefit society and the greater good. Those in high places who resist the corruption of power, whistleblowers alert to malfeasance, who bravely sound the alarm. Public servants who do the people's business with integrity, and politicians who place conscience above popularity. Those who travel far from home to defend our country from foes, and those who keep our community safe who run into fires to save lives. Parents who care selflessly for ill or troubled children, and children who give time and love to frail and aging parents. Loving spouses who remain faithful, loyal friends who stand fast in times of trouble. May their vote inspire our own, and may we find the strength to emulate their honor. Let us take joy in remembering the goodness that still abides. We invite Michael Sugar and David Goldman forward to open our ark. I invite you all to turn to page 420, and as the ark is open, we'll join together. 429. 429, sorry. For the Aleinu L'Shabeach.
446, in the middle of the page, we're going to read some words that connect us to this next part of our service, the Avodah, which includes remembrance and a number of pieces that are unique to this Yom Kippur afternoon experience. What is the enduring meaning of Avodah for us? What do we have in common with the Jews of antiquity who hallowed the rituals of Yom Kippur? Let's pray responsively. We have a hunger for the spiritual. Like our ancestors, we long to transcend the limits of our personal existence and connect to our source. We have the capacity to grow in spirit. Like our ancestors, we sense that our own words and actions can bring us closer to God or distance us from the divine presence. We yearn to express our gratitude and confess our sins. Though God does not need our gifts, the generous act of offering thanks to God makes us better human beings. Though God does not need our words, we feel the need to articulate our moral failures and our commitment to Shiva. We have a longing to begin again. Like our ancestors, we yearn to wipe the slate clean and start our lives afresh with renewed energy and determination. We who gather on the Day of Atonement are not visitors to a museum. We come together as members of a family, and our family's traditions, its stories and beliefs, our ceremonies and collective memories, they go back more generations than we can count. We are blessed. Our heirlooms bind us, teach us, and remind us. They draw us near to those who came before us, and they pave the way to a life of purpose. Pitchuli, the lyrics can be found on our visual tefillah. Page 506, in the middle of the page. When evil darkens our world, let us be the bearers of light. When fists are clenched in self-righteous rage, let our hands be open for the sake of peace. When injustice slams doors on the ill, the poor, the old, and the stranger, let us pry the doors open together. Where shelter is lacking, let us builders. Where food and clothing are needed, let us be providers. Where knowledge is denied, let us be champions of learning. When dissent is stifled, let our voices speak truth to power. When the earth and its creatures are threatened, let us be their guardians. When bias, greed, and bigotry erode our country's values, let us proclaim liberty throughout the land. In the places where no one acts like a human being, let us bring courage, let us bring compassion, let us bring humanity. Again, on our visual tefillah, the words from Psalms, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Those who sow in tears, will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow 9. In each human hand and heart is the power to renew life, to see dignity where there is brokenness and defeat, to know and cherish the image of God in every human face, to open eyes that have closed in despair, to shelter the weak and shield the helpless, to give strength to the weary and hope and comfort to those who feel pain, to care for the earth like an old friend, to give its oceans, rivers, and forests our selfless love, to treat ponds and tide pools, the sky and mountains as sacred living beings. In each of us is the power to renew life. On page 510. Long ago, one word on the lips of one person in one place, at one moment, brought together 4 dimensions of the holy, when the high priest would enter the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur and utter the name of God. And now, every place where we lift our eyes to God is a Holy of Holies. Created in the image of God, we are all high priests. Every day of our life lived in love can be a Yom Kippur. Every word that we speak in truth is the name of God. We pray from the Holy of Holies in our hearts, our God and God of all generations before us, may it be your will in the coming year to grant us, together, a year of abundance and atonement, a year of blessings bestowed and received, a year of community and compassion, a year of delight and exaltation, a year of enlightenment, a year of friendship and forgiveness, a year of going up in gladness to the land of Israel, a year of health and healing and humor, a year of inner strength and well-being, a year of joy and Jewish celebration, a year of knowledge and learning for its own sake, a year of love between parents and children, friends and spouses, brothers and sisters, a year of mitzvot and moments of sweetness, a year of nature protected and enjoyed, a year of optimism and hope, a year of peace pursued with perseverance, a year of quiet and tranquility, a year of rain in its season, a year of song and spiritual growth, a year of Torah study and tikkun olam, a year of understanding and unity, a year of vows fulfilled and violence overcome, a year of wisdom acquired and shared, a year of coexistence among the families of the earth, a year of young and old reaching out to one another, a year of Zion aglow with life for us and all the world. On our visual tefillah again, these are the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, set to music by Pastor Delante Golston. And it starts with words we can all sing together. Whoa, 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 whoa. Cannot.
These I remember, we turn to page 519. In an ancient time, the time of the Romans, we Jews were persecuted for reading and studying Torah, and these 10 sages, known as the 10 martyrs, were executed by Rome in the uprising of the 1st and 2nd centuries of the Common Era in the land of Israel. Though many other Jews lost their lives as well, the courage of these 10 has been recalled for centuries in a Yom Kippur poem of lament, Neilah Ezkara, which reflected the experience of the Jewish communities devastated by the Crusades, which began in 1096. And so we recall their names today. Rabbi Yishmael the high priest, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Prince of Israel, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Hananiah ben Teradiah, Rabbi Chutzpit, Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua, Rabbi Hanina ben Chachinai, Rabbi Yeshav the scribe, Rabbi Yehuda ben Dama, and Rabbi Yehuda ben Bama. But in our time too, as anti-Semitism has grown, we too have experienced martyrs who've given their life for the sake of our people. And so we share with you this beautiful song written by Donnie Zasloff and Eric Lindbergh in memory of the sweet souls lost at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh almost a year ago, October 27th, 2018.
Sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. I am but a voice, just a cry in the air. But I sing nonetheless through this pain we share. Oh, sweet friends, come and dry your eyes and hold each other by this tree of life. I'm angry and tired of this great divide, but I sing nonetheless with love on our side. Sweet souls who feel broken now, we'll heal together somewhere, somehow. Time and again we have been let down, but we sing nonetheless, still whole and still proud. Sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there.
A special Neilah Ezkara. These I do remember, and I pour out my soul within me. In the Squirrel Hole neighborhood of Pittsburgh on October 27th, 2018, 11 members of the Tree of Life or the Simcha congregation were going about their usual intimate Shabbat morning minions when the peace of their prayers was shattered by the sound of bullets from an assault rifle. That was not the only peace that was shattered that morning, as this was to become the deadliest attack on Jews in American history. The synagogue had previously participated in a special refugee Shabbat, like we did, organized by Hayes, which focused on the Jewish value of welcoming the stranger in our midst, as we know what it is to be a stranger. In response to that spirit of welcome, a white supremacist, bolstered by content online, associated the Jews of America with the immigrants seeking asylum. In response, he gunned down 11 members of the congregation in the midst of their declaring God's holiness. 6 months later, on the last day of Passover, the season of our freedom in Poway, Shabbat and festival prayers were underway. Again, a man armed with an assault rifle entered Chabad of Poway, indiscriminately shooting Jews, sanctifying God's name. Before his gun jam, he murdered one woman and injured 3 others, including the rabbi of the congregation. And just this morning, in Halle, Germany, the same thing happened again. Ela Eskara, v'nafshi al eshkapa, Ela Eskara, these we remember who gave their lives al Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying your name. Joyce Feinberg, Richard Godfrey, Rose Mallinger, Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stern, Melvin Wax, Irving Younger, and Lori Gilbert Kane. David and Cecil Rosenthal were brothers. Bernice and Sylvan Simon were husband and wife. Rose Ballinger survived to age 97 only to die in a hail of gunfire, and Lori Gilbert Kay shielded the rabbi from gunfire in Poway. Ele Eskara, V'nafshi alai eshkacha. Rabbi Jeffrey Myers of the Tree of Life Synagogue wrote this. It's about hate. How tragic it was that people without an ounce of hate had hate inflicted on them. This can be a watershed moment in our country if people choose to, because we have a choice at every minute of the day what comes out of our mouths. As easily as we spew hate, we can also spew love. I don't blame God. To me, God's not the one sitting in some divine control room pushing buttons and levers and switches and saying, now I'm going to make this happen. My God is someone I turn to at a time like this to say, God, give me strength to get through this. What are the right words to say when I don't know what I should say? Ele Eskara, v'nafshi alai eshmacha. Page 533. the Neilah, the closing service of the day.
Page 612 concludes Continue on page 644. El Melech Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim Mitnaheg B'Hasidut. Majestic God, your throne is mercy. Love and kindness your path. Together, though we wander astray, your forgiveness grows. As you pardon our wrongs one by one, doing what is right for every living being. In your mercy and love, do not treat us harshly for the harshness of our deeds. You teach us to proclaim your attributes, made known to Moses, man of humility, long ago. This day remember for our sake the covenant of your 13 ways, as it is written. The Eternal descended in the cloud, stood with him there, and proclaimed. Endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, and granting pardon. Page 646. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. On page 648. Together. Forgive us, Avinu, for we have strayed. Pardon us, Malkeinu, for succumbing to sin. You are generous in granting forgiveness, all loving to those who reach out to you. Adonai, Adonai. Compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Our God and God of our ancestors, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Page 650. We continue singing together. Ki anu. Amen.
To the bima, if you'll come here, and all the shofar sounders, if you'll come to the front row, Hope and Michael and Emily, if you'll join us in the front row up here, so you'll be closer to the bima if you're going to blow shofar. Harvey, it's time. We turn now to page 652, and we rise together. Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu v'Imotenu tavu lefanecha tefilatenu. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. 653.
Yeah.
64. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodmenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodmenu B'Sefer Geula V'Yeshua. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, Yadenu Mibirchotecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, Petach Sha'arei Shamayim L'Tefilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gate of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata. Avinu Malkeinu, we have no sovereign but you. Join us. We turn to page 671. As the Sabbath of Sabbath ends, we say from the heart together, living source, you are ours and we are yours. From beyond time and space, you hold out your hand to receive us. Living source, you are ours and we are yours. You are the sovereign of remembrance, the voice of holiness. Your presence lights the way. Living source, you are ours and we are yours. Shema Yisrael, hear the shofar, witness to history, thunder to our souls. Living source, you are ours and we are yours. Happy are those who love the sound of the shofar, its mystic chord of memory. Living source, you are ours and we are yours. Hear the shofar, hear its cry of freedom, its call of courage, cherish its promise of hope. Our closing prayers are on 672 for the Shema and the affirmation of God.
Shema Yisrael Adonai.
Make Havdalah in a moment here together, and we want to offer this final benediction as the day is waning and Yom Kippur and the gates of heaven are closing. Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Amotenu, God and God of all of our ancestors, you have heard the words of our prayer, the words of our heart, the worries and concerns that we've shared on this day. You have accepted in love our acts of contrition, our forgiveness, our apologies. Help us to go forth from this moment and this space into a world where we can hear the call of truth and speak words of justice and love. And let this new year be a new year of goodness and blessing and sweetness and peace for us, for our families, for our friends, and please, dear God, for all the world. And let us all say, Amen. We join together now in the blessings for Havdalah.
La
particular moment, if all of you with Marka and Dave and Gloria, I think Susanna's already gone maybe, but we want to say thank you to them for working so hard to make our holidays so very special. We thank you for your efforts. So it's not been, you all think it just happens, but it doesn't. Marka and Dave and Susanna and Gloria, they've worked so hard over many months to make our holidays so sweet and special, and we could not do this without them and their caring and support. We are grateful for your dedication to Kol HaMi. Thank you so much. And so, as is our custom at Kol HaMi, we close this sacred day with singing Hatikva, the hope. Not only is it Israel's national anthem, but long before it was Israel's national anthem, it was the Jewish people's anthem. And so we sing in solidarity with our Jewish brethren and sisters all over the world, particularly in the hope that this will strengthen us to face whatever we can have to face in the years ahead, and that our Jewish people will remain strong, and that you, as a sacred part of the Jewish people, will continue to strengthen our people wherever we are in the world. Together, and you feel free to come forward and grab a piece of challah. And we wish you again a Shana Tova Metuka, sweet and happy New Year, with many thanks to Cantor Linsky, Rabbi Chaiken, to Nate, to our musicians. Thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to welcoming you to the synagogue on Sunday night and to all the students.
And with thanks also, of course, to Rabbi Eger for being here.
Okay, let's join together. Baruch atah